I know the pain. Planning a Vancouver Island road trip is stressful. Too much to see and too little time. Stop driving yourself crazy. I'm sharing with you my base camp blueprint. How to see most of the island without packing each single morning your bags or spending half of your trip stuck in your car. If you want a Vancouver Island trip that feels like vacation and not a moving day, then this video is for you. And here's how it's going to work. I'll walk you through a 7-day Vancouver Island itinerary built around 3 base camps. One is in Victoria, one is in Parksville, Qualicum Beach, and the third one you can choose either between Pacific Rim National Park, which means Tofino, Ucluelet, or the northern part of the island. You'll see for each day what to do, how long the drives actually take, and which base camp makes most sense for your travel type or style of traveling. If you're family or if you're couple or just friends having an adventure together. The thing that most travelers make the most mistakes or say mistakes is try to move each single day to see each single day something new. So that means they're at a different place almost every night. That means constant packing, unpacking, kids meltdowns. You remember more of the highway than the Vancouver Island. Believe me, I've been there, I've done that. It's a whole lot of stress. Can be sure the island is pretty big, so you won't be able to do everything at once. I've not achieved that either. So the blueprint actually does the opposite. All right, day 1, you would usually start in Victoria, coming from Vancouver, either via Horseshoe Bay or Tsawwassen. That would be over here to Nanaimo, or from Tsawwassen to Duke Point or Swartz Bay, and then you will go down to Victoria. Here's the whole itinerary. I'll go through the itinerary with you, and we are at day 1. You also see in the notes some insights and tips that I have for you prepared. What you're gonna do in the first days when you arrive in Victoria, down here, you would check out first your Airbnb, your campground or campsite, maybe your hotel room. Maybe you have the chance to leave your luggage so you can explore a bit the town itself, walking around the inner harbor of Victoria, as you can see here on the picture. Maybe see the Parliament building, that one. And when you are already on the way, maybe check out if there's still the juice maker in the harbor that gives you fresh juice and a great energy booster for a bit exploring of the city. Maybe you could also visit the Fisherman's Wharf if there's a chance, and then find something where you can sit down and eat and just get acquainted with Vancouver Island. And it's actually also the first day, so it is decompression day. On day 2, it is exploring time. We're planning road trips, and for that, as you see here in the options too, best thing is to bundle options. One possibility is to see the butcher gardens, which are over here somewhere. Do that maybe in the morning when you don't have that many people, and then for the afternoon, get back to the city, wander through downtown of Victoria, get to Chinatown, also see one of the markets, maybe grab yourself a coffee or stop at a bakery, and then cool off the day with a nice beautiful dinner within the city walls. Maybe find some brewery or something like that, or maybe you can have the chance to rent the boat to drive around a bit. Second option would be to see and visit the Suki coastlines if you are for nature and light hiking. So you would drive all the way down over here to explore this area a bit more, and maybe see Whiffin Spade or the East Suki Regional Park. Then maybe explore some of the other trails. You can find them all in all trails. So it's a perfect spot also for families. Maybe you find a spot where you can swim in the sea. Might be rather cold, but you never know if your kids are up to some splashing. And the third option actually is also a great thing to do. It is perfect for people that like it a bit slower, a bit calmer, looking for these artsy vibes that you typically find on the Salt Spring Islands. And with that, it's also less crowded because you don't get so easily to these islands. You would take a ferry from Swartz Bay to Salt Spring Island, or the other way around would be if you would come from Nanaimo down, you could take a ferry ride over here. That would be the other option, which we might gonna do this year in our 2 months trip. So that's option 3. And the important thing here is to remember, it's not about doing everything, just pack things together that make sense. So it's about doing less to get more. It's also important to know we still have a few days ahead, so don't need to pack everything. That gets too stressy. And if you're traveling with kids, that's not optimal. So with having said that, relax, get some nice place to cool down the day, because the next day is travel day and we're gonna be up for some more adventures. Day 3 is actually travel to our next home base, which is gonna be in Parksville. Also here, when you drive over, which is around 2.5 hours to 3 hours, what I start to give advice on also my previous videos I did, making the road trip not just a way go from place A to place B, just driving through as fast as possible. No, make the whole road trip an adventure itself, because there's so many things along the way that are famous, that are amazing to see and visit, especially with children, but also for the older ones, of course. So if you drive to Parksville, maybe you could stop at the Malahide viewpoint or the Malahide Skywalk, then visit the Goldstone Provincial Park, maybe get to the Cowichan Valley, which is over here, which is also a great place to be, or see the Cowichan Bay down here, which has some cool tiny bakeries, coffees, or even restaurants. We had the best crap there, and there was once a German bakery. I don't know if it's still there, but what I'm saying is, plan these stops along the route, make it an adventure and not just a drive-through. Then also plan in to stay at Jemaines, which is famous for its mural paintings, or in Coombs to visit the old country market. I wanted to say old farmer market, but this market is also famous for the goats on the roof. So that might be an experience as well for the kids. That might be amazing, but not also for the kids, of course, also for us adults. And then drive further up to Parksville, maybe make even a stop in Nanaimo, which is also an awesome place and amazingly beautiful. But having said that, when you arrive in Parksville, make sure to check into your accommodation, if it's in our campsite, if it's an apartment or hotel room, whatever, just check in. Then maybe plan to have a walk at the Rathtrevor beach right over here. Then also explore a bit the surroundings, Parksville, maybe go to Qualicum Beach and plan that for the late afternoon in. Then combine it maybe with a snack break and then look for a nice place to eat. And the reason is because the next day is going to be packed again. On day number 4, by the way, reminder, you find all the tips I've set in over here. Here's the thing, on day 4, we plan a beach day, but also we want to see the Cathedral Grove and maybe even Port Alberni. But here's the thing, if Rathtrevor Beach is famous for its low tide that go out kilometers long and is certainly an amazing experience with kids, but also for yourself. Maybe you find some seashells, sea stars, or any other sea animal. Having said that, it is best at low tide, which is rather in the morning than the afternoon. But of course you could come also in the afternoon because you might think it's warmer then. Anyway, the other half, they plan in to visit the Cathedral Grove, which is around 30 to 40 minutes drive away from Parksville. It is known for its huge trees, and if you stand next to them, you really feel small, and they're very impressive. And there's a trail that goes into the forest, which is extremely beautiful. I highly advise to do that. But here it is best to do it either early in the morning or late in the afternoon. So that's why we need to figure out when you put in the beach time. Having said that, you can combine then, depends on what you're going to do on day 5 and 6. You could drive further to Port Alberni, where we had the best fish and chips so far, and maybe look for a boat trip towards the ocean, or just explore Port Alberni itself a bit, as it has also some nice history, if you don't pass by anyway when you choose option A on day 5. And then we head back, of course, we're going back to Parksville in the evening to relax again. Maybe if you're at the campsite, make a nice barbecue, Or if you have an apartment, maybe there's a grill to make your own barbecue, or find a nice restaurant next to the ocean. You could also plan going down to Nanaimo for the evening, for example, where we had a splendid dinner next to the sea, then head back home, as the next day will be packed as well. A, it's driving day, and B, we're gonna be on the road and have a lot of adventures planned. Now you could spend hours spinning building this itinerary all by yourself, or you just steal my itinerary right away. I put the whole Basecamp strategy and itinerary down in the description in a Mindtrip Ready to Go plan. You can see the route, the driving times, all the locations, or more or less the locations I've mentioned. It's all at one place with some tips. Grab that and let me know in the comments below if you tweak anything for yourself, if you prefer more hiking, more food stops, or maybe more kid-friendly things to do along the way. So let me know, I read every comment. But now let's talk about the big decision-making time, Pacific Rim or north top of the island. So like highlighted before, it is decision time. Day 5 and 6, I give you two options to do. Either you go north of the island to Telegraph Cove, Port McNeill, or you're going west to Tofino and Ucluelet, depending what you prefer. So option A, we're gonna cover first, which will be from Parksville to Port Alberni to Ucluelet and Tofino. It takes about, so I need to check my notes briefly, where it is. Exactly, so sorry for that. It takes around 3 hours to get to Tofino if you just drive through. But here again, maybe planning some adventures along the route. If you haven't done Port Alberni the day before, include it now. Visit the hole in the wall. Maybe you've spent the whole day at the beach. Also see Cathedral Grove, that would be your chance again. And then drive all the way over to Ucluelet and Tofino. As soon as you drive there, you know the drill. Do the check-in at your accommodations at one of either Tofino or Ucluelet. Ucluelet might be a bit cheaper as it is less visited than Tofino. That might be something you need to take into consideration. If you want to know more, by the way, how to find nice places, either campgrounds or apartments, hit me in the comments. I will write back, or just write me an email. Whatever fits you best, or you could also book a call if you want. Having said that, on that day, as you have driven a few hours, you might want to wind down a bit, go to Long Beach, enjoy the sea. It's a splendid place. Or head over to Tofino or Ucluelet to explore the area. What might fit very well if you go to Ucluelet is to do the Wild Pacific Trail. There are several ways that you can choose the different type of difficulty levels. So that might be an option. Because on day 6, it's adventure time again. And you have different options that you can do. So one thing that I highly advise you is go on the rainforest trails in the Pacific Rim National Park. Be prepared that there might be some wildlife encounters along the way, so it's important to stay on the trails. They are similar to the ones in the Cathedral Grove. And then maybe book some surfing lessons in Long Beach, as it is known as the Hawaii of Canada. Not water temperature wise, but in regards to surfing. And there are also some great options in Tofino. You can finish the day with a visit to Tocofino, or the afternoon go to Tofino itself for a gelato break. There's a nice ice cream shop, or was at least when I was the last time there. So I could recommend that. Then another option to do as an adventure, if you are open to have a whale watching tour, book one in Tofino itself, and you probably have half a day filled already with a tour. Might be the other option. And of course, if it would be raining, you could always turn to Ucluelet, for example, and visit the Ucluelet aquarium, where they have animals that are constantly changed, getting left back into the sea, that are animals from the surroundings that you can touch. So these are the options you have. Then on day 7, we do enjoy our last hours here at this area grab ourselves maybe coffee, make a little beach walk as an example, and then we have to head back to Vancouver. And for that, we go either via Nanaimo over here to Horseshoe Bay, or we plan from Duke Point to Tsawwassen down here. You could also take the route from Swartz Bay to Tsawwassen, so you would have to drive all the way down. I don't recommend that because that would add additional driving time, so better choose one of these two options. That also counts for option B, by the way. And here it's a bit the thing that you need to think about. What do you plan to do after these 7 days? Are you heading back to the airport, or you plan to see Vancouver afterwards? And here it's important to know where you're gonna stay, because either way, this might be the better option if you have an accommodation around here. Or if you arrive at the time up here, that then there won't be too much traffic, so you could easily go this route too. And if you, on the other hand, want to avoid bit traffic, you better come or take this route then. Maybe it's also depends a bit which ferry ride has the most open spots maybe. But coming back, now we have option A here. Now we've moved down to option B. And here's the thing, from when we talk about option B, it is the Norse trip. So we decide if you want to go with this option, then it would be all the way up to Telegraph Cove. Meaning this drive is also a bit longer, so longer car rides. We talk about 4.5 hours. So you just need to be aware of that. And if we talk about this road trip here, it's also about making the whole trip as an adventure itself. Because there are many things along the way that are worth stopping, for example, in Campbell River, to walk along the shoreline, to stretch your legs, or maybe make a stop in the Elk Falls Provincial Park. Just a little reminder, in option A and option B, you go the whole way back. So if you haven't been able to one of these stops along the way, you can always do them on the way back, just to keep in mind. And also here I have added some stops in between that are worth stopping by and to see. And where, depending where you have your accommodation, it might also make a difference what you're gonna do first. You could technically stop or have here an accommodation or somewhere up here and then do a day trip up here, but it would save time if you would have an accommodation up there. So what are you gonna do on day 6? Same drill as always, check in, leave your luggage there, and then start exploring the surroundings. Head over to Telegraph Cove, as it is picturesque place, very beautiful. I haven't been there, it's on my to-do list, but as you go along these slides, it looks beautiful. And I've heard so many great things about it. So on day 6, that's our wildlife day. On day 6, this area is famous for booking whale watching tours or grizzly bear tours. And the great thing is you can also do both together. But then it will be a whole day spending on the boat. So if you're comfortable with it, another option would be to book a kayaking trip where you can rent a kayak and do it on your own if you feel comfortable doing that. And then of course you could always do as another option, walk all the way up to the Cape Scott Park. In this area there are some beautiful beaches that are only accessible by foot. So if your kids feel up to, you can bring them up there. And this area and this place is ideal for people that love the nature, that are wildlife obsessed. Also people that don't mind longer boat days, and anybody that wants to feel like that they are at the end of the world, if you know what I mean. And then of course on day 7, we drive all the way back. Same story as before. If you haven't seen any of these stops here, do them now. Then choose a ferry ride either to Horseshoe Bay or to Tsawwassen, whatever fits you best depending on your plans. But nonetheless, enjoy your last hours at this place. Grab a coffee, sit on a bench maybe, and enjoy the calmness of the area and soak it in before you go back and it's gonna be stressy again. And of course you could always plan in some beach stops along the place or the route. After all these insights, if you're still torn between the Tofino beaches or the calmer north of the island, I would looking at the different way, and that the reasoning or the way I would make decision is as follows. If you want these Vancouver iconic photo stops, surf vibes, dramatic beaches, then it is the west coast of Vancouver Island, meaning Tofino and Ucluelet. If you want and prefer more whales, bears, fewer people, more nature for yourself, then it would be the north tip of Vancouver Island, like Telegraph Cove and Port McNeill. To make sure or to assert you, there's no wrong choices here. There are just different flavors of epic. And now the big question for you would be, are you team Tofino or team Telegraph Cove? Vote in the comments below. I'm excited to see what is your view, what do you think? And if you want this exact route without the headache of planning, then just pick the mind trip itinerary I dropped in the description below. Tweak it for your dates, for your travel size or group, tweak it to your needs. And one thing I'm really excited about is in the next week or next 2 weeks, I'll plan to publish my Western Canada travel kit, so stay tuned. In there you will find some tips, templates, prompts, how to make your planning for Western Canada much easier, simpler and more efficient without headaches or anything at all like this. And you also find some of my itineraries. But if you want to know more about my itineraries right now, then check out the playlist with the trip ideas and itineraries. That is linked right over here.